inviting me, and my fellow panelists, I'd like to wish you all Assalamu alaikum. As I was researching this over many years, I've realized that Assalamu alaikum is actually not an ordinary greeting. Some of you may be familiar that Arabic actually is based on many sort of root words. It's based on like a three root word system. And salam, and indeed the word Islam, actually have the roots salama. And the origin of that is very interesting. If we look at 11th century linguistics, who wrote books on this many centuries ago, they said salama is about being free of all ailment, external and internal. Salam and silm are about conciliation. Silm is a noun in opposition to war. So Islam is a pure, peaceable state of being based on accountability. And this peaceable state of being should ideally be free of warfare or bias. So when I'm wishing all of you salam, I'm not just wishing you peace, I'm by extension saying that you have nothing to fear from me. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, a Muslim is a person from whose tongue and hand people are safe. Now imagine that. If people all believed this and actually acted upon it, it would be so much of a nicer place if you knew that you would have nothing to fear from the words of people around you saying negative things, saying hurtful things, and you knew that of course you were physically safe from them, and all they would do is look out for you and protect you. So for that reason, I think, I used to, say hello and hi sometimes, but salam is so much more of a beautiful and peaceful greeting. Now, none of us actually talked beforehand about what we would say, but what struck me listening to everybody was how many common themes that we all have. And in fact, please pardon me if I repeat some quotes. As I said, it's completely unintentional. But one that also struck me very powerfully was a surah in the Quran, Surah 49, verse 13, which was alluded to also, which said, O mankind, we have created you from a male and a female and made you into nations and tribes that you may know one another. And the most honorable with you, with Allah, is the believer who has taqwa. Now this word has been translated into many things, fear, consciousness, protect, but actually what it really can mean is awareness of God. Just 2 verses before that, in that same chapter of the Quran, it says, O you who believe, let not a group scoff at another group. It may be that the latter are better than the former. And again, that tells us all we need to know. We need to have what respect we need to treat each other. Even if we disagree, there's an ethics to disagreement, which I feel is missing these days. People feel that if we disagree, we will have to be at odds. We have to cross a line, we have to be rude. It doesn't mean that at all. You can have different views from everyone, as we all know, and still respect each other. And I think that is the essence of what we all want to come away with, and that's why groups such as yours are so valuable in the community. So my background is that I was a born Muslim. I was born in Pakistan, and while some people would think that's a blessing, you've been born into Islam, actually everything has its pros and cons. And I think sometimes if you've been born into a faith, you can take it for granted. And you don't really analyze what it is about that faith that makes you practice it, or how much you get involved in it. And for me, when I moved to England when I was 8 years old, and I was in a very middle-class sort of Surrey environment. I grew up in Surbiton and Cheam, and I was the only Muslim and the only Muslim girl in my school, and in fact consistently pretty much in my schools until I was 18. And that has I've observed this in many different people, this has sort of 2 implications. Either people really retreat and feel very shy and then want to kind of blend in so they don't talk about their faith. I wasn't really one of those. I was very keen to explain, to show people the commonality. I didn't feel this cultural clash that some people felt, that they couldn't be Pakistani and British, they couldn't be Muslim and British. Thank goodness I didn't feel that. I thought that the values that were there in my religion are universal values, and I had Muslim friends, I had non-Muslim friends. I went to Regent's Park Mosque on a Sunday for our Sunday school, and I was a regular pupil sort of the rest of the week in my school, in my girls' school. So I didn't feel this clash, and I was very keen to always sort of explain to people about how Islam was not something that was alien or should be feared. When I went to Oxford, again, I was part of a very small minority. There were not that many Muslims. I mean, now if I look, my own daughter is at Cambridge now, and her Islamic society is so much bigger than ours was in Oxford. So many more facilities, prayer rooms, and so on. It's very easy for them to practice their faith compared to us. But then, at the same time, we also felt, as a minority, then you want to not preach your faith, but for me, what's always been really important is to be an example of it. And it's very difficult. I think that a lot of Muslims feel the pressure to represent. Everybody's different, nobody's a homogenous group. And I think especially with the media as it is, we always feel that sometimes we have to answer for the actions of a few, and we have to represent 7 billion people. Well, clearly that's impossible. But at the same time, on one level, I do feel that if I follow the tenets of my faith, if I follow the example of the Prophet, peace be upon him, if I try to espouse the actions of being a kind, compassionate person, of being a good neighbor, a good friend, a good wife, a good mother, a good sister, those things are something that can actually just bring people together. And that to me is important. It goes beyond the ritual of the rituals of the 5 pillars, which I do practice. But again, I'm very sort of, when I'm teaching the children, I'm always telling them that these are the rituals, but they are meaningless without the heart, without actually having, and this is where I really agree with what Fatima is saying. You need to actually, for me, it's all about sort of your intentions and what you might actually want to convey to people just through your behavior and not just through actions to show what you're doing. I was asked about a month ago to speak at another panel, and that panel asked us, what 3 things do you value most about your faith? And I said character, compassion, and cognizance. And I stand by those because I feel that Islam really teaches us to purify our characters, and it's something which is not always emphasized enough. It's always about the inner, not just the outer. The inner will purify the outer. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, there's just such beautiful stories about what a patient person he was. There are stories of people who treated him so badly when he lived in Makkah. There was a woman who used to throw rubbish at him regularly. I mean, imagine if somebody did that to us, how upset we would be. And yet he would go and he would, once this woman didn't come, and instead of just sort of saying thank goodness, glad she's gone, he actually went to find out what's the matter with her. He found out she was sick. He went to look after her. The people who had vilified him, had done everything to destroy his reputation, had killed his relations, had treated him very badly. When he came back to Makkah after a long spell in Medina, he forgave everybody. That was the fresh start for everybody. I mean, as a student of history, I've seen conquest. Read about conquest through the centuries. When people conquer another people, there is bloodshed, there is torture, there is burning of fields, wholesale bloodshed, basically. Look through history, you'll find that in every civilization. This was an incredible moment in time when the Prophet, peace be upon him, came back to Makkah. He forgave everybody, and that was what allowed a fresh start. And to me, stories like that are so powerful and not known of enough. There's a whole chapter in the Quran about Maryam, the mother of Jesus. He's a very, very important prophet for us. And there's much mention of Christians as well as Jewish people in the book. And we see ourselves, as people have said before, as a continuation. Not the beginning of something, but a continuation of the faith. In terms of cognizance, I feel that's to do with awareness and accountability. In the Quran, the verses of the Quran in Arabic are called ayat. But ayat means something much more than that. It means sort of signs as well. And we're constantly encouraged to reflect, to look around us, to use our cognizance and look around us and see and think and reflect, not just on the creation and the creator, but of ourselves. We're encouraged to have self-awareness. And I find that awareness, that taqwa, is our most crucial garment. There's a recognition that there's something about humans that is different and gives us a sense of right or wrong. That awareness, for me, is really key because it makes me focused on my accountability. There is a saying that on the day of judgment, people will think, even if they lived here 70, 80, 90 years, 100 years on this earth, they will feel like they were on this earth for only a day or part of a day. And having an accountability, sort of building up sort of my bank balance, not in a monetary sense, but in a sense of good deeds, for me, is actually very, very crucial. And I find that accountability to my Creator very powerful. Even if I hide my misdeeds from every living being, I feel I cannot hide them from Allah. And that stops me from doing many things which otherwise I may not have been stopped. And I always feel that if my religion is not making me into a better, kinder person, I'm doing something wrong. In terms of community, we are encouraged so much to be good to our neighbors, to our friends. That coming together for festivals, to help each other out, the rewards of visiting somebody who is sick, all of these things, again, just bringing people together, those things are very powerful for me. And again, they show the best examples of our community. And so my story has always been about sort of teaching and learning these aspects of Islam. So while I follow the Sunni sect, and that has, and I won't go over the sort of beliefs of that because a lot of people have alluded to them, and they're the most standard beliefs that you might come across in most textbooks, with the 5 pillars, my other panelists, we believe in the Quran and following the hadiths, which are the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We also believe that he is a living example of the Quran and his characters to be followed. All these things that define who I am. So yes, I'm British, yes, I'm Pakistani, yes, I am many, many roles within that. But at my heart, I am a Muslim. I think that defines me more than anything else. Thank you.